Hey there, and welcome to Conversations Worth Your While, the podcast where we dig into ideas and insights to help you to unleash what you were born to bring. I chat with heart-led experts. I ask the questions that I know you're already thinking about, and we explore conversations that will spark growth, shift perspective, and help you to show up fully in life. Today, we're exploring how to heal bloating through the mind-gut connection. And this conversation is worth your while because GI disorders affect more than 40% of people globally. And bloating and IBS, as you may know, are debilitating. So while nutrition matters, restrictive food plans don't actually address the root cause. And they're hard to follow. So in this episode, we're going to explore the mind-gut connection so that you can understand how your body actually works, how to calm what's causing the bloat, and how to move forward towards feeling good again in a way that's actually sustainable. And this is especially important today because today's food is just increasingly hard on the body. So I'm your host, Linda Bucher, and if the life that you are in no longer fits, this space is for you. Because through this podcast and my coaching, I guide you to shed what no longer fits, to reconnect to your gifts, and to bring your life into alignment with who you are and what you want. And if that sparks something within you, you can find me at lindabucher.com. So once again, our topic is heal the bloating through the mind-gut connection. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Heather Van Tassel of Neurofit Nutrition, who is unleashing what she was born to bring in a beautiful way. With a degree in biochemistry and neuroscience, Heather bridges the gap between Western medicine and ancient natural modalities to heal IBS and bloating for good so that you can get your life back and thrive. So Heather, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. I'm learning more. I love how much I get to learn through all my guests. So just if you would share a little bit more with our listeners, what you're doing. You can talk about your history, your degrees, a story, whatever you want. Just share a little bit more.
Yeah, so I am super passionate about gut health and holistic health in general, but we're living in this age of microbiome diversity loss and antimicrobial resistance. So, and also like on an ecological planetary level, there's a lot going on there that I am passionate about. So, what I found to be like the most inspiring based on my own journey is that it is possible to heal gut imbalances, gut overgrowth, and it doesn't have to take years of Googling and trying different things, not really understanding what will work or why. There is an easier path, and I'm here to help people illuminate that. And yeah, I've just seen the ripple effect and how it impacts other people's other areas of their lives when we really like hone in on the nervous system work through like meditation, breath work, hypnotherapy, and somatic work. That, yeah, I'm just very blessed and honored to be in a position to help people come home to their bodies.
That's beautiful. I love the way you put that. So let's talk about this bloat and the impact. Now, a lot of people have bloat and they just think that's normal. Oh, I drank beer, I have bloat. Okay, right. I don't know what I ate. I'm just bloated all the time. So a lot of people don't recognize that there's a lot more going on. But what they do recognize is the pain, right? They do recognize the um, like the far-reaching effects of it. So the pain and discomfort is something that's very obvious. Um, but we also recognize, I've had a lot of people close to me with gut issues, pretty bad gut issues. It does impact social lives. Like people won't go places because they're afraid they're going to need to run to the bathroom every 5 minutes. They, especially, maybe they can't come to work. That's impacting companies, right?
Yeah.
What are some other far-reaching, or not far-reaching, but other effects that you're noticing or that your clients might share with you that they're unable to do because of this bloat?
Yeah, it's really unfortunate how the bloating impacts your ability to like say yes to social events, like you were saying. Um, you're kind of hyper aware of where the bathrooms are, and maybe there's some guilt or shame around that as well. There's a lot of frustration and just confusion that impacts your mental health as well. Yeah, more sick days, maybe, yeah, not wanting to talk about it because, bathroom stuff is a little bit of stigmatized, but we're here to talk about it because everyone poops.
Everyone poops. Yeah. And
Exactly.
also, there's, like people, a lot of people don't recognize that their brain fog is a gut issue and that their bad mood is a gut issue, right?
Yeah, the gut brain connection. Yes.
All right. Well, that's what we're here to talk about. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the bloat. Okay. Tell me, what is the bloat signal? Like, uh,
On a
yeah.
deeper level. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it could be many things, but generally, like chronic bloating, where it's, you know, almost every day, or maybe it's more at the end of the day, is usually what tends to happen is like you're fine in the morning, and then by the end of the day, you're like 6 months bloated. Sorry,
Yeah.
6 months pregnant, belly bloated.
Right. Yeah.
Um, that's a slight exaggeration, but no, it happens. Um, and so it could just be classic kind of underlying root cause is SIBO or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, where you might not have enough stomach acid to break down your food, so you get a lot of extra foods sitting in your intestines longer than they should be. This can also be promoted by excess stress because when you're stressed, you're like running away from the tiger. Your body says, oh, we don't have time or resources for digestion. We're going to switch to go fight or flight mode. So digestion gets kind of put to the side, and that causes maybe some over fermentation of food, and the bacteria that are living in your colon where they're supposed to be start crawling up into the small intestine and having a party, feeding on all that excess food particles. And what do bacteria produce? Gas. So they're the ones that are creating all that gas, and that causes bloating because your body's like, oh, I'm going to bring in extra water to flush out that extra gas or inflammation that's going on there. And then that excess water also contributes to the bloating. So then, yeah, those are kind of the main reasons that I see, but there's also a lot of upstream root causes of that. But I hope that
Right.
illuminates the
Yeah.
physiology of what's going on.
Right. So in layman's terms, it's like you actually already addressed the two pieces that we're going to really focus on today. There's the physiological, like, okay, you don't have enough stomach acid, which we will have to there's a you got to fix. You got to fix the physiological stuff going on in the gut, right? So your food's sitting in there too long,
Or
right?
bile,
And then
yeah.
when it sits in there too long, this bacteria that's supposed to be way down in the colon starts swimming upstream and going, hey, there's food over here, everybody. So it's going there, and as it's doing there, it's creating all this gas. So gas is not a natural, normal thing we're all supposed to have all the time. It's happening. It's when we're having it, you're saying it's showing us that things aren't moving through the way they're supposed to move. Would that be correct?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of it comes back to motility of like food moving through the intestinal tract either too fast or too slow. And yeah, that can be low stomach acid, stress, low bile production, sluggish bile, low pancreatic enzymes, probably due to nutrient deficiencies that could be
Right.
for many reasons with our current world.
Yeah, for sure. And okay, great. That's so good to know. And also, I love that you brought up the second piece, the stress piece. I don't think people are aware of how stress can cause bloat. Like they just thinking it's all food or it's all my gallbladder, it's all my colon, it's all my something. And
Right.
I love that you brought up because people I think do know that the fight or flight response sends all the energy and blood to your big muscles to fight or flee.
Yeah.
And your body actually says we can just digest later. We have more important things to attend to right now. We got to fight or flee. So that is slowing our digestion and making the food sit there longer, which is causing issue. That's huge. I mean, I knew that. I knew that's how the fight or flight response works, but I never thought about it. Even though I know it, Like, oh, it moves
Yeah.
away from digestion. Got it.
Yeah, it's
But
just a little bit of connecting the dots. And
yeah,
I experienced this realization like years after I had healed my concussion and my SIBO. And I later realized like there is an actual scientific connection, like correlation between concussions because they do kind of dysregulate your nervous system, right?
right,
They're pretty dysregulating.
right, yeah.
And yeah, that nervous system hypervigilance that might come with that type of injury or other types of disorders, or just modern life. We're all a little bit dysregulated these days,
Oh, yeah.
overstimulated, and yeah, so that connection there is the vagus nerve, which I think more and more people are talking about.
Hmm.
How the brain is linked to the gut via the vagus nerve, so every thought you think actually is communicated to your gut and vice versa. There's like a very strong cross communication or bidirectional communication there. So yeah.
Right. So I think that's probably new to people. Um,
Okay.
Even just it might be new to people that brain fog is caused by gut. We're just thinking, oh, I didn't
Right.
get a good night's sleep. I got a lot of stuff going on. So this is a really important piece of information that, I'd love you to expand on a little bit. Is this gut brain connection? And what is the vagus nerve? And what's it do? How does it help? How does it get in the way? Like, explain a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah, I love this topic. So I'll start with the gut. We have trillions of microbes in our gut, and they are doing so much for us. They are actually helping us digest our food. They love fiber and diverse types of fiber, not just like broccoli every day. We want to diversify so that they're happy and they can all feed and diversify themselves. But they're also doing things like producing vitamins, like a lot of B vitamins. They're also producing neurotransmitters. We got dopamine, GABA, serotonin as like the main ones. And that's communicating to the brain that like we have a good supply of neurotransmitters. The brain then says, okay, great, I'll increase my production. So it's not that they travel through the vagus nerve, it's like they're just signaling
Mhm.
safety and like um, essentially we're good, so you can continue producing more. There's also a lot of satiety or like hunger signaling that they do. So when they produce all those fiber metabolites or short chain fatty acids, which are incredible, they like seal up that gut lining, feed the colon cells. They also signal that we're full. So, all these GLP-1 agonists or what's it called? Ozempic
Right.
that people are taking. The same pathway is turned on by our microbes saying, hey, we're actually full, no need to continue eating. So if you don't feed your microbes fiber, they might actually start feeding on your gut wall because there's that like mucin layer that some of them like to feed on, not all. Um, and there's been recent research around MS being linked to those specific types of microbes that like to feed on the gut wall, creating leaky gut. Um, and that's a whole other topic, but that's the whole connection there with like if your gut microbes aren't balanced and diverse, then your gut environment is more prone to inflammation from environmental toxins or stress. And that inflammation can then leak out into the rest of the body through leaky gut is like the layman's term, but there's like 31,000 studies on intestinal permeability. So it's a thing. If you want to look up any more research, I have blog posts and stuff, but there's tons out there. Anyways, so that leaky gut is the connection between more systemic inflammation, which can result in symptoms like brain fog or food sensitivities. And then eventually, if that goes on long enough, you have some immune imbalances, you might get sick a lot, you might start developing an autoimmune disease like rheumatoid arthritis or MS, like I was saying. And then there's also links to Alzheimer's and like neurodegeneration, and a lot of other things like mental health, definitely anxiety and depression. So it's very important.
Right. So I'd like to address this whole um, let's use chemical compounds so we don't have to clean up, right? So like Ozempic or people not understanding that this constant anxiety that they have is caused by a gut issue. So they just medicate it, right? So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so like medications versus eating whole food, or is that what
Well,
you're getting at?
what
Or
I mean is, all right, your camera's doing such weird things. I don't understand why it's doing that. Do you see it? It's like,
it's
oh,
just
zoom
so
in, zoom out. What's up? What's up? Okay. So what I'm saying is, okay, so like, this like Ozempic and the other medications that are like that are doing the work that our guts would do, if I understand you correctly, if we
big.
just were good to our guts. Then they would signal that we're not hungry because they're really just giant, simplified appetite suppressants, right? Um,
Right, exactly.
so it's quick and easy.
Mm.
Get a little injection. Now there's going to be a pill form or whatever. And then I won't be hungry and I won't eat. But to me, yes, that makes you look good in your jeans for sure. If you don't overdo it. But I'm also noticing some people that I recognize are on that having mood disruptions. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, like they're actually changing almost. Um,
Hmm.
and that so to me, I wonder if that's like along the same lines. Like if there is not if there is a true gut connection to the brain. So it's by signaling I'm not hungry anymore, which your gut would do if you got your gut healthy, it would do it
Yeah.
naturally. You wouldn't need this Ozempic, you wouldn't have overeating. You wouldn't need all this other stuff. So I
Yeah.
wonder what else that affects. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I am not 100% like sure about that mood link that you were talking about. I'd have to dig into the research a bit more, but my brain is thinking like just in general, like when we try to manipulate our biology with drugs and like foreign substances, the body might react, but it is super intelligent. It will just adjust. So eventually you'll need like a stronger and stronger dose of that medication that was working before, but it's not really solving the root imbalance or the root issue. So yeah, I like to look at like evolutionary biology, but also ancient natural medicine practices like Ayurveda and TCM. There's a lot we can learn from the ways that we've been doing things in the past. And like you can argue, we're in a different world now. Everything's like very modern and hyper clean, but like honestly, like there's a lot we can do from a simple lifestyle and food perspective that I think has a bigger and longer term impact than these short term medications. But
Mhm.
I'm not
Okay.
saying don't ever take them. I wouldn't
Right.
suggest that, but it, maybe look into educating yourself more on other alternatives and combining them with as much support as many practitioners as you can.
Yeah. So thank you so much. I love that you brought up the fact that out outside substances are manipulating our bodies into doing something like Ozempic or like antidepressant, things like that, which again, sometimes are very needed. So we're not going to We're not going to say they're not at all.
Yeah.
Not where we're coming from. Where we're coming from is there are natural ways to heal the root issue. And if you didn't know the root issue of your anxiety was in your gut, now you're just like, I got anxiety and I just have to go to therapy and take this medicine all the time. And you might be able to heal it, maybe especially if you look back and you weren't anxious at 13 and now at 30, you're super anxious. Well,
Did
what,
you take antibiotics? Yeah.
right. Yeah, like there's probably a lot going on in there that we don't recognize. Could be if we got our gut healthy, we might not need as much other stuff. We
Exactly.
might, but we might not, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
also, if we got our gut healthy, we wouldn't have the pain, we wouldn't have the embarrassment, and the shame of having to say no to, I want to go places. We wouldn't have to take so many days off of work. We wouldn't feel so uncomfortable all the time. Okay, so
Yeah.
now let's move into this new approach rooted in science to heal the gut through both nutrition and nervous system work. So that's where this conversation might diverge from other people just saying, eat this, don't eat that, take this supplement and you'll be good.
Right.
Because if you've still got that underlying stress, it's still going to be slowing your digestion. Like you've got to be working on the nervous system. And there's so this is a two-pronged approach, everybody, and that's you don't get anything else out of today's conversation because there's so much good stuff in here. But I know it's a lot. This is it is a two-pronged approach where a single-pronged approach won't fix it. It will help, but it won't fix it. You have to do both. And that's what's very cool. And so there's a lot of different nervous system modalities. And everybody who's listening, you know what some of them are, meditation, right? Deep breathing, right? But there might be some other things that you don't realize. Especially now that we just learned about this vagus nerve, thanks to Heather.
Hmm.
And maybe people have heard of EFT tapping, right? It's like different tapping points.
Hmm.
Right?
Yeah, I love
Um,
tech.
and and then let's talk about somatic therapy. Can you explain a little bit more about why somatic therapy and what somatic therapy is?
Sure. Yes. So somatic, meaning like soma is like the Latin word for body. So it's just of the body. And what that type of therapy really helps you focus on is feeling bodily sensations. So that could include things like a tightness in your chest. It could be anger in your throat. It might be sadness or tears. Like, you know, a lot of my sessions do move people through a lot of emotions. But it's really just about slowing down and listening to the body and creating that communication between the brain and the rest of the body. And it's a bit deeper than meditation, I would say. I think meditation helps with somatic awareness 100%. So I do love that modality as well. But I think having a bit more of like guided prompts to like help you return back to the body helps you get a bit deeper in that relationship. But the goal is essentially just to help release any stored emotions in like a healthy way. We don't want to suppress everything. We want to befriend our emotions and release them. So there's all sorts of ways of doing that, but that's the essential overall goal.
Yeah, well, it's very beautiful that you bring both into your practice. A lot of people do the nutrition side and they don't handle the nervous system side. So the fact that and it's rooted in science, and you are a scientist, you're like, no, it's both. You got to do both, and that you brought both into
Yeah.
your practice is so
Yes.
beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, there is tons of research on this nervous system piece. So I love this app called Nerva. They do like gut-directed hypnotherapy. And they've done a bunch of research where they've shown that 10 minutes of guided hypnotherapy per day for 6 weeks lowers IBS symptoms equivalently to following the really restrictive low FODMAP diet. So that was just
Wow.
mind blowing when I saw that. I was like,
Oh my
this
gosh. Wow,
makes
that's
sense through my
amazing.
experience. Yeah, exactly.
So, and it's called, this is an app called Nerva, Nerva.
Yes.
Wow, interesting. Well, that's beautiful. That's something for our listeners to maybe look up.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you want to try it, I can get you 25% off. I don't get any commission. I just want to give people discounts.
Oh, well, then that would be a good thing for you to give me that link and I'll put that in the show notes.
Okie dokie. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's possible. Usually I enter their information, but
Mhm.
I think there is a way to do it via link. So
Okay,
yeah,
if there is, give that to me. If not, people can contact you because we'll put that
I
how to
think
do that in the show notes and then you
either
can
way.
get it for them. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. Thank you. All right. So this mind body connection. I think many people are unaware that our bodies do hold on to emotions for a long time. There goes that camera again. Woo. I'm not even moving. Our bodies do hold on to emotions for a very long time. Um, we have, because when our mind can't handle something, we just repress it. It's a mechanism to try to keep us safe and functioning. So we all have a lot of repressed memories, repressed emotion. And that repressed means you still got them, you're holding on to them some way, definitely emotionally and definitely physically. And I know what's interesting is I had a lot of digestive issues when I was working in the corporate world. And I went to the doctor and they did a scan. I said, oh, your gallbladder is only working at 24%. We should take that baby out. And I also had gained about 22 pounds. There was a lot going on, not just the job, but I was a sudden widow and sudden single mom. So I'm raising 3 kids by myself. I'm working full time. There was a lot of stress going on at that time in my life.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
and when I left the corporate world to become a life coach, all of a sudden, the pain I had, like in my neck and back, which was basically debilitating, the fact that I couldn't eat anything remotely delicious without constantly having indigestion, and all that weight, it went away. Now my gallbladder, I never had my gallbladder out. It's still there. It works totally fine. I lost that 22 pounds with not changing even what I ate. That was the stress weight that when I
Yeah.
removed the stress, the weight came off. And people don't want to believe me. And now they know, now they can believe me because you explained why that's true. And neck and back pain also got about 90% better. And
Right.
what it was is a lifestyle change. What I did is slow down and listen to me. And I
Mm.
remember while I was in training for life coach school, which was like a year-long school, I remember just giving myself so much space. Sometimes I just drove to a park and aimlessly walked around. Sometimes I sat on the back porch and watched the squirrels.
Hmm.
Um, I just gave myself space. And then I remember feeling a lot of sadness come up. And I knew it was such old sadness. Because here I was like, I don't have to get up and go to work every day. I'm learning something new that's feeding my soul. I've got space. I've got freedom, right? Like I had all this good stuff. So where is this sadness coming from? And it was old. And the only way out is through. We must process those emotions to get them out of our bodies. And we can't get them out if we don't let them come to the surface. So that
Yeah.
repression, it eats away at your body. Your body is responding to repressed emotions in a negative way. Just like your body responds positively when you do something good for it, when you emotionally feel joy, right? There's like we know that's where we get like the words gut instinct. We know when something feels like, oh, that doesn't feel right. It's in our gut, it doesn't feel right. And
Yeah.
right. So
Hmm.
then we allow those emotions to be and they're all like emails. Treat every emotion like an email. It's got information for you. And when you allow it to come to the surface, only then can you release it. And when you release it, either through coming to the surface through some somatic modality, or because you've addressed it at a psychological or mindset level, which is where my level of expertise is, you let it be. And I do ask those questions. I ask, when someone's saying they're feeling a certain emotion, I'm like, well, where in your body do you feel that? Oh, I feel it, down here. Like, okay, can you sit with that? Can you give it some attention? Right? Because everyone wants to push it away, sweep it under the rug where it'll be there 20 years later. Right? So it's really truth. This is truth that our bodies and our minds hold on to old trauma. And if we want to live this free, beautiful life where we can make positive ripples and make a difference, it's our job to do our own healing. And healing your gut and your mind can help you not only feel better, but help you unleash what you were born to bring in this world, which is your goodness and how it's supposed to ripple to other people and to our community and to the world and so on.
Exactly.
Okay, so now let's give our listeners what I call turtle steps, okay? Because, okay, dear listener, I know you're like, oh my gosh, that was such an amazing podcast. That was great, awesome. Okay, what's the next podcast? Which hopefully will be another conversation where you're at. However, before you go into the next one, I want to give you, and I always do this at the end of every episode, ask my guest and then just provide something, and then I provide something. That is called a turtle step. It's one small thing that you can do right now or commit to doing that's so small, it's not a big deal, right? Before you listen to the next podcast, okay? Really, so a turtle step. So Heather, would you share a turtle step that maybe bridges both this, right? This gut and mind connection, because it's two-pronged. We've been talking about that. So what do you have?
Yes, so I love to recommend taking 3 slow, deep breaths before every meal. So this calms that gut-brain connection and prepares your body for digestion and just generally calms the nervous system. So should be easy. 3 deep breaths.
3 deep breaths. So basically, don't eat when you're stressing, eat when you're
Yeah.
calm. So do what you got to do to get yourself calm before you eat. And then what I'm going to say, in just when you said 3 slow deep breaths, the key word is slow. Slow your roll. I know I can be guilty of like, oh, I got to grab lunch. I'm standing up at the countertop, or I'm bringing it back to my desk because I got stuff I got to do. And that is not mindful. So if I'm not mindful, I don't know how fast I'm eating, right? And I think everybody would agree when we eat too fast, we get uncomfortable, right? So
Yeah.
slow. So in addition to these 3 slow deep breaths, which take mindfully, you'd be like, oh, I'm eating now. That's mindfulness. I'm about to eat. 3 slow deep breaths so that you can be in more of a state of calm and slow down. I've also read that we should be maybe chewing our food longer than we do.
Yes. 30 chews or until it's a sort of smoothie consistency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the slowest eater ever, and people make fun of me, but I'm like, no, I'm enjoying my meal.
Well, that's the other thing. Yeah, we're making such good food. And I always say, like, as the cook, okay, this took me 40 minutes to make. Don't you dare slip that down in 3 minutes. And like, okay, bye. Let's give it its due. It took a long time.
Yeah, you can do even like a meditation of like, how does this first bite taste? How does it smell? How's the texture changing after you chew it a few times?
Right, beautiful. So that's a slowdown. Here's
Yeah.
something that I have learned. You can tell me if this is true, because this is another good turtle step. Because I've noticed that somewhere while I'm eating, now I know we've been raised to clean the plate. A lot of people have been raised, I was raised that way, clean your plate, waste not, want not, don't take too much so you can finish, right? So finish, we have to finish, right? Which we really do not. We can wrap it up and eat it later. We're adults. We don't have to finish everything. Okay. So, but what I learned along the way, which is probably this mind gut connection that we're talking about, is when your body's had enough food, a natural sigh happens. And I notice that sigh happens before I think I'm going to be done. So when I become aware, like, oh, I just sighed, that's my body's signal to say enough. Even though my brain goes, it tastes good. So I'm eating too much because my brain wants more. But usually we want more, and this is a whole nother episode I could do separately. It's in the mindset, is when we feel we're in lack, we use food. And
Mhm.
um, so we want to feel good. So if it tastes good, that's a feel good, except it's not a feel good because then we get bloating, or we get shamed because we ate more, or we're like, we just feel terrible. So that sigh is a signal, and to trust it. Like, oh, I just sighed. Oh, I still have a big amount of mashed potatoes on my plate. That's one of my favorites. A big amount of mashed potatoes on my plate. But I sighed. Would it
Huh.
be so bad to wait and see, like, if in 10 minutes I still need that? 'Cause, like, your brain, it's got to catch up, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I'm curious to look into that more because usually, like, a sigh is just a sign of like relaxation, but maybe it's also a satiety signal. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, look into that. Let me know. Because I
Yeah,
just heard that and then I noticed it happens. And then I'm like,
yeah,
well, I think I've had enough, you know?
I love that.
So
That's
yeah,
makes sense. Yeah.
we'll try that. All right, good. Wow. Well, this has been such a beautiful episode. And thank you so much for sharing. You have such a depth of knowledge, Heather. It's wonderful. And I know that this episode will be a go-to episode for people because you shared a lot, and understanding the how and the why to me is the beginning of change. Because if I don't understand how or why, I'm not going to bother to do it. Right? So
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
I want to say thank you. It's been so beautiful to have you here today. And along the lines of this two-pronged approach, I know you have two things that you can share with our audience so they can kind of move forward in a guided, easy way. So can you share with us what those are?
Yeah, definitely. So I have my How to Heal IBS Naturally guide, which kind of goes through more of the food, the microbiome, and the tracking because we want to figure out what foods might still be a bit problematic more than others. Um, and it goes into more detail about how to do that. So that's a free download. And then we don't want to forget about the nervous system piece. So I actually recorded a gut directed hypnotherapy meditation recording, and that's also a free download. So I have those two links I can send over.
Perfect. I'll put those in the show notes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Woo! All right. Woohoo! This has been so awesome. And that is our show, everyone. I'm Linda Bucher, guiding people to know their worth, to reconnect to their gifts, and create lives that are fully aligned and deeply impactful. So if you're sensing it's time to bring your life into deeper alignment, you can explore what that looks like at lindabucher.com, where you'll find direction and clarity. And if today's episode sparked something for you, please share it with someone who might need it. And then subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And join me next week for another expansive, uplifting conversation designed to support your growth. So until next time, please make sure that you've made this conversation worth your while by fueling the spark that it ignited.